Phil, this isn't a knock on you, but I just want to highlight that as a writer, particularly one as prominent as you are, focusing on Leeds United, sometimes something you write might be taken the wrong way. And I have seen, I try to join fan groups on Facebook just to see what fans are saying about their club. And you wrote something about Bielsa and the fans were not happy. And I'm sure you became well aware of that on Twitter. So you know what feedback can be like from others outside. And Bale has had it to the nth degree with the Spanish press. I think it's safe to say that he answered his critics with his performance against Austria. What did you make of the statement he gave, though, on social media concerning was it Marca? Marca wrote about him, calling him a parasite and blood-sucking, money-sucking, whatever you want to call it out there. Do you think it was the right thing to do? Do you think it addressed all the issues correctly?
It seems with Bale that as time's gone on more and more, he's lost patience with both the narrative around him in Spain and also with the relationship with Real Madrid, which has been very unhealthy for a very long time. I mean, I understand the amount of money involved and particularly the fact that Bale will be on a very large contract at the Bernabeu, contract that wouldn't be easy to sever at all. But it surprises me greatly that prior to this, and at some point, in the past couple of years, there hasn't been more of an effort made for everybody to sit down and thrash this out, to find a way of bringing it to a head and to a conclusion sooner. I mean, he's looked for a long time like he doesn't fit at the Bernabeu. The politics around it are quite difficult, actually, to understand from a distance because, as Stu says, he is such a good player. And I think that the big factor for Wales with Bale is that they have struck upon and landed upon a genuinely world-class footballer. And even having one of those can make a huge difference to a country or a nation who generally tend to be on the periphery when it comes to qualifying for major tournaments. He has made the difference in such a big way. But he's made the difference in the past for Real Madrid as well. And I've never quite understood why it is that latterly it's been so difficult for him to fit. But there does seem to be in sections of the Spanish media the attitude and the opinion that this is essentially Bale's fault, that he is to blame for the fact that it hasn't worked out as it could have done at Real Madrid. And some of what's written and some of what's said is very scathing. I mean, the commentary seemed to be focused on the fact that he'd been carrying an injury prior to the international break, but had in the end been fine for Wales. And Bale will see that as a really cheap shot. If you're not fit, you're not fit. If you are fit, you play. But there is this underlying mood in Spain that perhaps when it comes to Real Madrid, he is not as committed to his football as he is with Wales. I don't think that's particularly fair. But as I say, I do think it is an incredibly unhealthy situation that's been allowed to fester for too long.
Yeah, it probably doesn't help that he was willing to pose and smile next to the banner, Wales, Golf, Madrid, probably just antagonize the press and some of the fans in Madrid. But his record is astounding. I mean, he's got better percentages than the likes of Zidane, the original Brazilian Ronaldo, and all these other greats and everything that he's achieved and scoring huge goals in finals and all of that. So I still find it astounding. And you do fear for Hazard if he stays there next season and the criticism that he's going to get once Bale leaves. But on that note, Stu, where do you think he's going to end up? He's a free agent. There's talk that he'll want to stay fit for the World Cup should they qualify. I don't know. He could play for free for a club like Cardiff. A romantic notion of such. What do you make of this?
Yeah, coming back to his home city. It's possible. It's possible. I don't think it will be about money with Bale. He's earned more than enough playing in Spain. I'm with Phil totally on this. I find it bizarre that this has gone on so long. 3 years ago, Zidane was saying, if Bale goes tomorrow, then that will help everyone. It is incredible that this hasn't been resolved, and it continues to sort of affect the mood around Real Madrid, certainly affect the mood around Bale. But in terms of his choices, I think you have to remember the family are very settled in Spain. So there is a possibility that he will stay in La Liga. Can you imagine him playing against Real Madrid next season?
Playing for Barcelona, maybe. You never know.
Maybe. I mean, that would be remarkable. But this is a guy who got whistled when he was coming on for Real Madrid a few years ago. When he set up a goal, he was being jeered. So perhaps it can't be any worse than that if you go back as a rival player. I think whatever Bale wants to do, the driver will be the World Cup. This is obviously on the assumption that Wales get there. They've got another big game to play yet. And so he'll want to know that he's going to get regular game time somewhere. And yeah, it is possible that he could come and play for Cardiff. I think football will be paramount here, not the finances around the deal. Equally, there's the interesting scenario. What if Wales don't get there? Does Bale then walk away from football? I also think that's very possible, which is incredible when you see him playing like he did against Austria and what he's still capable of doing. He's only 32 years old, 33 in July. You feel he could go on and play for another couple of years. But I do think if Wales don't make it, there's a strong possibility that Bale will just decide to walk away from the game. And that would be a real shame. But he's not going to be. It's interesting reading Ronaldo talking about, I'll decide when I stop playing for my country. And even, this notion that, the next World Cup could be Ronaldo's last, and him almost saying, well, I could actually maybe play still when I'm 41. Bale's just a totally different personality, and it's not going to be like that with him. So, yeah, we have to also remember he came back to the Premier League, didn't he, with Tottenham? That really didn't work out. Probably the wrong manager with as well at that time. Mourinho and Bale wasn't going to be a happy relationship. So really interesting to see where that goes. But yeah, I'm starting to think maybe he will stay on in La Liga for maybe just a few months.